trial.
Right, good morning. The record will reflect the presence of counsel for the parties. The defendant is present. You may be seated. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. My understanding is we're going to have a witness. Mr. Earls is still on the witness stand, but there will be a witness called out of order. And Mr. Rivera, or is it Ms. Jones? So, yes. Ms. Jones? Yes. Okay, then you may call your next witness.
Thank you. At this time, the state calls to the stand Vincent Suki. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you are about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
You may proceed with the examination of the witness.
Can you please introduce yourself to the jurors?
Good morning. My name is Vincent Suki. I'm an evidence specialist at the Maui Police Department.
How long have you been employed at the Maui Police Department as an evidence specialist?
As evidence specialist, I'm currently in my 19th year.
And who do you work with in that division, the evidence section?
Tony Earls and myself, we're the only two evidence specialists right now.
And during February of 2014, who were the evidence specialists at the police department?
Tony Earls and myself.
I want to turn your attention to February of 2014. At that time, did you have an assignment involving Stephen Capobianco?
Yes, I did.
Will you describe to us, I'm specifically referring to February 12, 2014. Did you have an assignment on that day?
Yes, I did.
Okay. What did you do?
It was approximately midday. I was contacted to photograph Stephen Capobianco in the interview room in the police department.
And did you take a series of photographs?
Yes, I did.
And who were they of?
Of Stephen Capobianco.
Would you recognize him if you were to see him again?
Yes, I would.
Okay, he's here. Will you point to him and describe an article?
Sitting over here on the right-hand side of the table with a short-sleeve shirt on, light blue short-sleeve shirt.
May the record reflect Mr. Suki has identified the defendant.
The record will so reflect.
Your Honor, permission to publish seats 22 through 34.
Permission, proceed.
Mr. Suki, I'm going to show you would have been admitted into evidence as seats 22 through 34. Do you recognize this photograph? Oh, sorry. Let's try that again. Do you recognize this photograph?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Is this the beginning of the series of photographs you took of the defendant on February 12th of 2014?
Yes, it is.
Okay. I'm going to show you states 23. What was the purpose of taking this photograph?
And this for ID and just a full frontal view.
Okay. Turning to states 24, the purpose of this photograph?
View of the left side of his face, neck, and left side of his arm and body.
States 25, the purpose of this photograph?
View of the back of his head, his neck, and a full view of his back.
And states 26?
Again, this is for the side of the face, the right side, the neck, the arms, the right arm.
States 27?
These are the backs of both hands.
And why'd you take this photograph?
We always take the hands to determine whether there's any injury or not.
When you photographed the defendant on February 12, 2014, in this photograph specifically 27, were you photographing any such injuries as you described?
Yes, I did. Initially, this is the overall photograph of both hands, and then I took close-up shots of each of the injuries, what appeared to be injuries on the backs of his hands.
Okay, let's look at 28. What hand is that?
This is the right hand,
Okay.
back of the right hand.
What are you photographing in this states 28 in evidence?
The whole hand, defining the injury across the back of the hand.
Okay, and I'll show you states 29. The purpose of this photograph and the scale is for what reason?
The scale is to show the perspective on how long the injury is, how big it is. Gives it a perspective, and you do a close-up photograph. It's good to put a scale in there.
Will you describe describe to us what you saw when you were actually viewing this right hand of the defendant on February 12th of 2014? What did you see?
Exactly what's in the photograph here. It appears to be a type of an abrasion, possibly.
And will you describe to us the approximate length and where on the hand, the defendant's right hand, did you see that, what you're describing as a possible abrasion?
Yeah, the abrasion appeared to be about 10 centimeters or about 4 inches, and it was across the complete back of the hand, from below the knuckles, below the wrist, in between the wrist and the knuckles, right across the back of his hand. And it kind of wrapped around the outside of the little finger.
Okay. May the record reflect that Mr. Suki is tracing an area around his hand, including a motion towards the palm of his right hand?
Right, what's called the writer's palm would be the back, the right side, the outside surface of the back of the hand.
And when you viewed this, what you're describing as an abrasion, possible abrasion, in February 12th of 2014, did it appear to you to be even as to the abrasion on the writer's palm compared to the abrasion toward the, I guess we'll call this the webbing between the thumb and the index finger?
Well, as noted in the photograph, it appears to be a deeper abrasion to the outside, to the outside of the hand, as opposed to the inside, the webbing area that you're describing.
So you're referring to the outer portion?
That's right, by the writer's palm, by the pinky side.
Now, when you look at this photograph, in regards to, what do you notice about the knuckles in this photograph, and describe to us what you saw in regards to the knuckles on February 12th of 2014?
Well, the knuckles appeared to be a little red and possibly abraded, slightly abraded, not real definitive, but they are a little discolored, different from the other tissue, the other skin around the area. They don't appear to be very swollen or anything, but they appear to be a little discolored.
And you're noting that that discoloration was present where on the hand?
On the knuckles,
Anywhere else?
on the back of the hand also,
What is it?
around the abrasion.
So besides the knuckles and the abrasion, did you notice that redness anywhere else in the defendant's right hand, on the back side?
No.
Turning to seats 30, why don't you take this picture?
We always take a palm surface also. We take the backs of the hands and the palm surface of the hands.
I'm just going to blow this up on there. Will you describe to us where you were indicating the, let's just look this lower, the writer's, made it too big, sorry. The writer's, what'd you call that, the writer's palm?
The writer's palm, which is the outside surface of the little finger right here on the outside surface of the hand. So as you're writing, it's called the writer's palm.
Okay. Will you describe to us where that is in this photograph?
That would be along the hand, along the little finger, running along the palm surface.
Turning to States 31. What hand are we looking at?
Looking at the defendant's left hand.
Okay, and why'd you take this photograph?
Again, an overall view of the back of the hand, and this hand also had looked like an abraded injury on the little finger, the first knuckle.
Turn to States 32. Is that depicted in this photograph?
Yes, it is.
Okay, will you describe to us what you mean by the abraded pinky? and knuckle?
Yeah, it appeared to be two linear lines that were right across the knuckle on the back of the left hand. So that photograph is taken with scale again to show the dimensions of the injury itself.
Okay, let me blow it up so you can, I'd like you to describe to us the dimensions of that injury.
It's approximately 3/4 of an inch,
And when
both
you,
of them.
okay, when you say both of them, where does each one run in regards to the surface of the pinky and the knuckle?
It runs from the inside of the knuckle, appears to be the inside of the knuckle, around the top of the knuckle, and around to the inside surface of the hand.
Okay, and when you look at the one that's closer to the fingertip, will you describe to us what you observed in regards to the width of, one moment please. Will you describe to us what you observed, as we did on the right hand, what did you observe in regards to this abrasion that's closer to the fingertip on the left pinky, in regards to its width on the portion of the pinky that's on the writer's palm versus the portion of the pinky that's in closer to the webbing between the pinky and the ring finger?
Well, the two injuries are a little bit different. The injury towards the fingertip that you're describing has a little wider abraded area on the outside of the finger, and then it goes a little line towards the webbing, as opposed to the injury that's closer to the knuckle. It's a little wider, looks to be an abraded injury, and appeared to be a little on the drier side.
And so you're indicating to us that the wider portion is on the outer surface?
That's correct.
Turning to states 33 in evidence, why'd you take this photograph?
As a overall view of the left palm.
And states 34 in evidence, why'd you take this one?
It appeared that he had a little nick, some type of an injury on the inside of the thumb right there, so I took the photograph with the scale.
Okay, I'm going to blow it up so we can talk about the scale. Let's just let this load for a second. Okay, will you tell us the size with the scale of the nick or cut that you're referring to on the palm surface of the defendant's left hand?
Yeah, this side is a small little circular cut or a scratch. I can't determine whether it's a scratch or a cut. It's a little red around the injury itself, and it's a little more than 1/4 inch in length.
Now, who was present when you took these photographs?
Officer Detective Leif Adachi and I believe Detective Wendell Liu.
Did you hear Detective Liu and the defendant talking about the hands, the defendant's hands?
Yes.
And did you hear Detective Liu asking the defendant about the injuries on his hands?
Yes.
And did you hear the defendant make statements regarding the injuries on his hands?
Yes, he just made one statement.
And was he talking to you or Detective Liu?
to the detective.
What was he telling Detective Lou about the injuries on his hands?
Object as to hearsay.
The objection is overruled.
Cumulative. Cumulative as well.
The objection is overruled.
What did the defendant tell Detective Lou about the injuries on his hands?
He mentioned to the detective that he got the injuries at work.
All of them?
So I'll object as to leading.
The objection is sustained.
When you heard Detective Lou questioning the defendant about the injuries on his hands, and he said he injured them at work, did he provide any further explanation about how he injured them at work?
He just said he was a baker and he burned himself.
Did he explain on what?
No.
Now I want to turn your attention also to later in the day, on February 12th of 2014, did you have another assignment in regards to photographing a coroner?
Yes, I did.
And where'd you do that?
That was done right in the back of the police station, in the motor pool, right by the gas pumps.
Okay. You're under permission to publish states 35 through 39 and 379.
All right, permission granted.
Is this one of the photographs that you took on February 12th of 2014 at the Wailuku Police Station?
Yes, it is.
And, was the defendant present during the time that you made these photographs of his vehicle?
Yes, he was.
I'll object to this line of questioning. It's cumulative and waste of time.
All right, I'll sustain the objection.
Will you describe to us the condition of the vehicle?
So, all right, I think I just objected to this line of questioning, which was sustained. It's cumulative and waste of time.
I'll sustain the objection. We're going to cover
That's
other questions related to this. That's fine. I'm not saying you can't ask any questions about the vehicle, but I just didn't want to have us go through the same testimony.
okay. Will you describe to us the condition of the interior of the vehicle?
Dirty, muddy, dry, a lot of dry dirt and mud, very cluttered.
Now I want to turn your attention to March 19th of 2014. Did you have an assignment regarding search warrant number 2014-0119?
Yes, I did.
Okay. In regards to your assignment related to that search warrant number, what did you do?
My assignment was to collect known hairs from Stephen Capobianco.
Where did you do that?
Yes, I did.
Where did you do it?
At his residence, I believe it was Kalipo Place in Haiku.
And who did you go with?
There was quite a group of guys. It was a SRT team, I believe, came out and initiated the search warrant. I waited until everything was ready to go, and then I came into the residence. While I performed the collection of the hairs, Officer Losvar was witnessing. what we're doing.
And what was the purpose of that? Having Officer Losvar witness your
Collection.
collection? Mhm.
Just to have a witness to determine that we're doing it, there's no improprieties.
And did you collect the hairs pursuant to the court order?
Yes, I did.
All right. Where did you take them from?
10 different places.
Will you explain the places and how they were collected?
Yeah. Starting at the head hairs, chest, stomach, armpits, both right and left armpits, the hairs from both arms, the pubic hair, and hair from both legs. I believe that's 10 different samples.
And what did you do with the 10? And how many hairs did you take from each area?
Approximately 20. We pull about 20 hairs or so. That's what the lab requires for standard samples.
And what did you do with them after you collected them?
The hairs are put in individual envelopes marked as to the location of where they were collected from.
And then what did you do with them after you marked them and put them into the envelopes?
I brought them back to the evidence processing lab, sealed them all up individually with evidence proof tape, and submitted them into evidence storage.
May the record reflect and showing defense counsel states 1, 2, 3 that the purpose of this witness. May I approach Mr. Suki?
You may do so.
May the record reflect in showing Mr. Suki states 423 for identification. You can take off the yellow sheet so you can examine the attached paperwork. Do you recognize the paperwork affixed to states 423?
The top document I do, the property and evidence voucher.
All right, and what is it about that that you recognize?
I generated this voucher in the evidence module on the Maui Police Department computer to submit these hairs into the evidence storage.
Okay, and within the envelope, do you recognize what's within the envelope? What did you just flip through?
I just flipped through the 10 envelopes that I submitted the 10 different hair samples in. The hair samples from the 10 different locations.
And do you recognize your seal on each of them, or you mark?
Yeah, that's what I was just looking at, the seal in this. Yes, these are all my envelopes. I do recognize the seal, the evidence seal.
Okay, will you put that back into
Sure.
the outer envelope, please? And do the envelopes indicate where, the individual envelopes, sorry, no, you put them away. Do the individual envelopes indicate where on the body the hairs were collected from that are within each of the envelopes?
Yes, they do.
Okay. Is there, and are they numbered to distinguish one from the other?
They are written on the envelope as chest hair, stomach, head hair, pubic hair, leg hair, etc.
Okay.
So,
And how do you know that what's marked on the outside is what's on the inside? Like, for example, chest hair. How do you know there's chest hair inside?
because as the samples were collected, one envelope was filled out at a time, the hairs were put in that one envelope, and it was closed up.
Okay.
So one at a time.
Okay, great. Okay, paper clip and outer sheet, please. All right, terrific, thank you. And when you looked at the chain paperwork that's attached to the evidence voucher, as well as the individual packets and the envelope itself, we explain the differences in what you see on them from when you submitted into evidence.
Well, when I submitted into evidence, I've signed the bottom of the evidence voucher, and the person that receives it from me in evidence, and I believe it was Saucy at the police department, received that from me. She'll sign the first line. From there, I never saw these samples again, or that chain of custody. It went for testing, and it went for storage and testing. I never saw it again until I just saw it right now. So there's a lot of signatures on those chain of custody lines, and that determines on who handled the samples.
Okay, you indicated that Saucy had received this.
I believe it was. I'd have to look at that again.
May I approach Mr. Suki?
Yeah.
Your Honor?
Yes.
You take a look at your evidence voucher and let us know what you mean when you say you believe that Saucy received it from you.
I'm actually going to object as the lack of foundation in hearsay.
The objection is overruled.
Will you explain to us what you mean when you say you believe Saucy received it from you?
Yeah, this is the first signature on the chain of custody, and I believe this is her signature, Elizabeth.
So I'm going to again object as the lack of foundation given the answer.
All right, I'll sustain the objection as to foundation. You can lay a foundation.
We'll move to strike the answer.
Who is
Right.
Elizabeth? Oops. Sorry.
He moved to strike, I granted.
Who is Elizabeth Walters?
Elizabeth Walters is the evidence custodian at the police department.
Object is deleting.
No, it's foundational.
It's the answer that they're going towards. It's leading.
The objection is overruled. Proceed.
Who is Elizabeth Walters?
Elizabeth Walters is the evidence custodian at the Maui Police Department. She was. She's no longer employed, Judge.
Right. In February of 2014, was she so employed?
Yes, she was.
How do you know that?
Well, this is her signature, and I worked with her. I've submitted many items to Ms. Walters.
And what department was she employed within at the police department in February and March of 2014?
In the records department.
And in regards to that property voucher that you're talking about now, is that a record that you create and the department keeps as a regular course of your business?
Yes, it is.
And the purpose of that is what?
The purpose of the chain of custody is to document where the evidence is, who has control of the evidence, date and time, all the way through. Whoever handles the evidence will sign the chain of custody.
And also, does that include if any description of what it is besides who has it and when they got it?
Objection leading.
The objection is sustained.
What other information besides who gets it and when and who has custody of it is on your evidence voucher?
There's a description of the items that's in that you're submitting. There's a description on the evidence voucher on what it is that you're submitting.
attention to June 4th of 2014. Did you have a specific assignment regarding photographing and doing some testing on that same Forerunner?
The Forerunner that we talked about earlier,
Yes,
that I photographed at the police department, yes, I did.
yes. Okay, and will you describe that assignment?
The assignment was to photograph and chemically process the vehicle for presence of blood.
I want your permission to publish States 351 in evidence.
Permission granted.
Now, in regards to States 351, which is now displayed, you take that picture?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And what were you photographing in that picture?
This is the center console in the Forerunner, and that is a container of mace.
And what did you do in regards to examining that container of mace?
Well, I did not collect it. The officers at the scene collected that.
Okay.
And it was-
What did you do in regards to it?
At a later date,
Yes.
at a later time, that mace was swabbed for DNA.
And did you submit those swabs into evidence?
Yes, I did.
Showing defense counsel states 424 for identification. May I approach Mr. Suki?
You may do so.
Mr. Suki, I'm showing you what's been marked for identification as states 424 for identification. You can unclip the yellow sheet and tell us whether you recognize the attached paperwork as well as the envelope behind.
Again, this is the evidence voucher that I generated.
And when did you generate that?
Oh, what date? It's like 6/30,
Of 2000?
June 30, 2014.
Okay.
And these are, description of this is swabs from the mace pepper spray canister. And the swabs are placed in a manila folder here.
And do you recognize your markings on the manila folder?
Yes, I do.
As well as your markings on the evidence?
Yes, I do.
And what's different about it today?
The difference is the chain of custody has a number of signatures on there. When I submitted it, I submitted again to Ms. Walters as evidence custodian, and that was the last time I saw this envelope.
And that's who you refer to as Saucy?
Saucy,
That's
correct.
a nickname?
That's what we all call her, Saucy. Sorry, I had to think about her real name because we call her Saucy all the time. So.
And what else is different about the packaging besides the additional names on the chain paperwork?
The packaging has an additional tamper-proof tape on here, and it states it's from HPD SIS, which is their scientific investigation section.
Thank you. Sophie, do you have scissors up there? I may borrow them from Alex work. Thank you.
Maybe or maybe, okay.
You have some gloves up there?
Mhm.
Okay, great. Here's dates 424 and some scissors. Will you open that package and let us know if you, having Monday morning, sorry, if you recognize what's within it?
Sorry, can I see what that is? What we sold? You know what that is?
424?
This is the swaps.
Oh, okay, cool, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Do you recognize what's within?
I do recognize this. This is the swabs that I put back in the original sterile package that the swabs come in, marked, defining what it is, date and time of collection, and my evidence seal on here.
Okay. And the date and time of collection?
6/30/2014 at 9:15 in the morning.
Thank you. Can we put that back in? Let's fold the sheet over since it's, will you explain the swab and what that is? How you collect with that?
Yeah, when we swab an item for DNA, we use 2 sterile cotton tip swabs. One swab we wet with sterile water and completely wipe the item wherever we're trying to pick up some biological material from. And then we come back, our training taught us to come back with a dry swab and swab the area again for the second time. So we use 1 wet swab and 1 dry swab.
And then what do you do with them?
Then the swabs are dried, air dried completely, and then packaged back into the sterile envelope.
Where are they air dried?
In our evidence processing lab.
And did you follow that procedure in specifically regards to states 424 for identification?
Yes.
May I approach with states 423?
Yes.
Okay. Got some more gloves up there, Mr.
Oh,
Sweeney?
mhm.
Okay. I'm handing you what's been marked for identification as states 423. And if you want to use any of that equipment, you got the brown paper over there. I'm going to ask you to open up each of those envelopes that's within states 423 and let us know if you recognize the items within them in regards to their packaging and the contents.
I know these items have been sent out,
Yes,
so they've been handled since I've handled them, yeah?
yes.
Okay.
Your Honor, I think that maybe we could do this during, we can do it now, or we can do it during a recess and just have them open each one of them briefly, or we can just do it here.
Oh, let's just do it.
Okay, all right. Mr. Suki, will you open the first envelope and let us know what you're opening?
Again, like I mentioned, these, the last time I saw these was when I sealed them and submitted them. They have been sent out to a testing lab.
May I approach
And
Mr. Suki?
the hairs are in a glycine envelope now, sealed by SIS, I believe. So
And do you see hairs within that envelope?
I can't tell through this glycine envelope. But this is the head hairs.
Okay.
I'd imagine they're in here. I can't see through the envelope here.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
Can we please step back inside? And would it just... One moment. You have tape up there? Evidence tape?
No.
Okay. Your Honor, if we could have a recess, I don't want to open up any of the other envelopes without the tape. I believe that we had that in the courtroom. I don't want to open up anything else unless we seal those back up one by one. So just take a minute to get it over here.
Do you, what kind of tape do you need?
The evidence tape that he can write on
Where you propose to get that?
at my office.
All right. All right, we'll take a recess at this point.
Thank you.
There's some recess.